Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Night of Extinction. Leading Uchiha to Defect to Kiba. Rebirth into the Hokage World and become a member of the Uchiha clan. But right now it's the night of extermination, and Yuzhi Bofeng's heart is full of MMP. What should we do? Online waiting. Very urgent. Fortunately, at a critical moment, the system finally awakened. Get a blue dye template at the beginning. Host opens newbie gift pack. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Broken Jade, Enhancement, Soul Slaying Blade. Mirror Flower Water Moon, the host's bloodline has reached the bottleneck of the limited bloodline Sharingan, and Benjiu has evolved it into a kaleidoscope Sharingan. The quality of the host's chakra has reached a bottleneck and has been upgraded to shadow level. The host's Fire Escape Fire Extinction, B, has reached a bottleneck and has advanced to Fire Escape Fire Extinction, A. On the night of extermination, facing the three generations of Hokage in Uchiha with their filial son Uchiha Itachi, Yuzhi Bofeng extended his rubber hand and turned his back. From this moment on, I will stand on the horizon. Introduction is weak, please refer to the main text. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Countdown to the Destruction of Clans. Seeking Data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At dusk. The land of the Uchiha tribe. I didn't expect 15 years to pass so quickly, but this awakening time is very unfriendly. Looking at the last ray of sunshine in the sky, Yuzhi Bofeng couldn't help but sigh. As a Blue Star College student in his past life, he traveled to the world of the anime Naruto after an accident. In a blink of an eye, 15 years have passed. Over the past 15 years, for some unknown reason, most of his memories from his past life have been sealed, with only occasional useless fragments appearing. However, even so, a calm personality in the powerful talent brought by Rebirth. It also allows him to reach the level of 3 Goyu Sharingan at the age of 15 and possess the power of elite endurance. The status and reputation of a genius within the clan are no less than that of Uchiha Itachi, who hides a kaleidoscope. In theory, this is a very perfect start. Unfortunately, the time period he is currently in is during the period of the extinction of Uchiha in the original work. Yuzhibo Jishue has died, and my surveillance of Yuzhibo has intensified. There are frequent gatherings within the Yuzhibo clan. Yuzhi Bofeng murmured to himself and shook his head. All of these indicate that the night of extermination will come at any time. Faced with the imminent massacre of Uchiha Daitu and Uchiha Itachi, as well as the watchful high-ranking Kiba. At present, there is no time for him to enhance his strength or make arrangements for it. The strength of one's own elite endurance cannot give Yuzhi Bofeng any sense of security. Fortunately, there was also a system that accompanied his journey. After Yuzhi Bofeng's memory was restored, he could see a progress bar in his mind. Thinking of this, Yuzhi Bofeng shifted his attention to the progress bar loaded by the system in his mind. 99.9%. After 15 years, the system finally reached its final stage of loading. If nothing unexpected happens, Yuzhi Bofeng has a premonition that the system will be fully loaded today. In the anticipation of Yuzhi Bofeng with the last ray of sunlight disappearing from the sky, the system's progress has finally reached 100%. System loaded successfully, bound to the unique host Yuzhi Bofeng, the world information has been loaded and is now being transmitted to the host. Yuzhi Bofeng hasn't had time to be happy yet. As the system was loaded, a large wave of information flooded into his mind. Hiss. After a brief period of intense pain, by the time Yuzhi Bofeng had absorbed this information, he had gained a general understanding of the system's awakening. When Yuzhi Bofeng first crossed into this world, his system began to load. But due to the fact that Yuzhi Bofeng was only a child at that time, and the system took him through time, it consumed a huge amount of energy. So the system was loading very slowly, and most of his memories from his past life were sealed up. Until today, the system was finally almost fully loaded, so the memories of Yuzhi Bofeng's past life were also released in advance. After understanding the situation, Yuzhi Bofeng calmly investigated and said, "I just don't know, what kind of capabilities will this system have?" In the next moment, the system seemed to hear Yuzhi Bofeng's doubts and mechanically responded. This system is a dimensional divine selection system. When the host is about to face some choices, different options will be triggered, and different options will correspond to different rewards. For these options, the system will not impose mandatory requirements, and decisions are entirely based on the host's will and actions. It sounds good, but... Yuzhi Bofeng smiled bitterly and shook his head. However, rewards will only be issued after completing the options, but the night of extermination is approaching. However, at this moment, due to the long system loading time, in order to compensate for the host, a compensation gift package is specially issued, compensation gift package. Yuzhi Bofeng's eyes suddenly lit up. He immediately ordered, "Open the compensation package." Gift package has been opened. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Broken Jade, Enhancement, Soul-Slaying Blade Mirror Flower Water Moon. Yuzhi Bofeng suddenly took a cold breath. Good guy, the combination of the Broken Jade and the Soul-Slaying Saber is just like giving him a template for the blue-dyed Soyasuk. Yuzhi Bofeng immediately took out these two items with his mind. In the next moment, a gemstone shimmering with blue and black light appeared in his left hand. This is exactly the Broken Jade in death, and it has also been strengthened by the system, so there are no defects. And on his right hand, there appeared a soul-slaying sword with a light green hilt, a mirror like water moon. However, at this moment, most of Yuzhi Bofeng's attention was focused on the Broken Jade. The situation he is currently facing is really in need of the power of breaking jade. The most attractive feature of Benjiu to Yuzhi Bofeng at present is its ability to continuously evolve to the next dimensional realm when the host's ability reaches its limit or life is threatened. After system strengthening, this evolutionary ability can also be actively utilized. However, this proactive evolution requires Yuzhi Bofeng to collect energy on his own. And this energy is the soul of the deceased. This is equivalent to leveling up monsters. As long as Yuzhi Bofeng kills enough people, he can constantly upgrade and become stronger. However, Yuzhi Bofeng, who has just obtained the Collapse Jade, can only use the passive evolution ability of Collapse Jade. I don't know how many abilities I have at this moment to break through to the next dimension. A glimmer of anticipation flashed in Yuzhi Bofeng's eyes. As Yuzhi Bofeng's mind moved, the next moment, the light emanating from the Broken Jade in his left hand gradually enveloped it, and soon he turned into a dark blue cluster of light. In the light group, all the abilities of Yuzhi Bofeng that have reached their limits have begun to evolve. The technique of Fire Escape and Fireball has reached its limit, evolving. Escape from the flames and extinguish them to the limit, evolution. Uzi Wave Flow Swordsmanship has reached its limit, evolve. Uchiha Fluid Technique has reached its limit, evolve. Chakra has reached its current limit, evolve. Physical Fitness has reached its current limit, evolution. Starting from the ninjutsu that Yuzhi Bofeng learned, physical skills, chakra volume, physical fitness, every ability that reaches its limit has evolved to a higher level. Undoubtedly, at this moment, Yuzhi Bofeng directly stepped into the level of shadow. However, this is not over yet. Within the group of light, Yuzhi Bofeng had unknowingly opened his Sharingan. At this moment, three-hooked jade began to spin wildly in his bright red pupils. Gradually, the three-hooked jade began to merge, and a unique kaleidoscope pattern emerged in his eyes. Right will eyes, successfully evolve. A new kaleidoscope writing will eye has been born. Until then, the light of the shattered jade began to converge and quickly return to its gem-like appearance. Yuzhi Bofeng retrieved the collapsed jade from the system space and began to close his eyes to feel his own changes. Powerful, incredibly powerful. Especially the newly evolved kaleidoscope Sharingan, with its majestic pupils, compared to Sangoyu, it is like the ratio of a ditch to a lake. Not to mention that it also endows Yuzhi Bofeng with two major pupil techniques and the ultimate power of the Sharingan, which requires assistance. Monkey Flying Sun / Yuzhi Wave Weasel. Let's have fun this time. Under the night, Yuzhi Bofeng coldly glanced at the huge Huiying rock in the distance. In the next moment, his figure disappeared directly into place. Chapter 2. The beginning of the rise of Uchiha. Seeking data. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The night is getting deeper. In the residence of Elder Uchiha stood up in astonishment. Feng, can you guarantee every word you say? Yuzhi Bofeng said with a calm expression. You know me well, I never do anything without confidence, especially when it comes to the future of the entire clan. After using the broken jade to enhance his strength, he immediately came to the house of Yuzhibo Shana. He revealed all the leaks of the plan, the conspiracy of the high-ranking officials of Kiba, as well as the betrayal of Uchiha Itachi and the acquiescence of Uchiha Fuyue. In this lifetime, both of Yuzhi Bofeng's parents died in the Third World War, and he was adopted and raised by Yuzhi Bofeng from a young age. Within the Uchiha clan, Uchiha was immediately considered his closest person. In addition to serving as a senior elder for decades, Uchiha's prestige within the clan is even higher than that of previous Uchiha clan leaders. So only by finding him can Yuzhi Bofeng gather his power to the greatest extent possible. After all, what they have to face is the entire wooden leaf. Looking at Yuzhi Bofeng's serious face, the elder couldn't help but believe it. After all, Yuzhi Bofeng grew up watching him grow up from a young age, and he knows his personality the best. So. It's true. The elder's eyes were uncertain. Upon seeing this, Yuzhi Bofeng shook his head and sighed, get ready. I estimate it will be these few days, and they will definitely take action. We must take the initiative first, gather wearable tribes to kill the leaves, in order to preserve our Uchiha clan to the greatest extent possible. However, upon hearing these words, a hint of worry appeared on Uchiha's face for an instant. But now that Jishue has died, Itachi has rebelled again, and Fuyue, that bastard, has also chosen to acquiesce. Only you are left as strong as Uchiha. Do we still have the power to compete with the monkey flying sun slaying them like this? Upon hearing this, Yuzhi Bofeng couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth, and then he slowly closed his eyes. Of course there is. The eyes opened again, and a strange kaleidoscope had already appeared in their pupils. Just rely on my kaleidoscope to write will eyes. At Uchiha, there is nothing more powerful than a pair of kaleidoscopes to showcase one's own strength. The level of writing will eyes represents status. The sense of pressure from the difference in pupil strength made Yuzhibo widen his eyes and involuntarily open his Sharingan. 1. A kaleidoscope. You actually opened a kaleidoscope. When did this happen? Yuzhi Bofeng smiled lightly and said, counting it all, it should be when I learned about the conspiracy of the monkey flying sun to slay them. Okay. 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 At this moment, Yuzhibo's smile on his face was like a chrysanthemum. Ha ha ha. I knew your talent was no less than stopping water, but I didn't expect you to be able to open the kaleidoscope so quickly. At the age of 15, you opened the kaleidoscope Sharingan, and your talent is still above the original spot. I will issue an order to gather the tribe members. The night became even darker, and ordinary residents in my village began to turn off their lights and even fell asleep. On the dim eaves the third-generation Hokage looked at the Itachi kneeling on one knee in front of him, faintly spitting out a smoke ring. Have you made a decision yet? Yes, 3 generations of adults. Itachi raised his head, his face full of indifference. Sandai Huiying sighed and then said in a deep voice. I want to express my gratitude to you. In this way, my avoided civil war and the peace of the village was preserved. Unfortunately, I haven't found any other suitable methods so far. But don't worry, I will take good care of and cultivate your younger brother, making him a lone ninja. The people of the tribe are trying their best to break the peace of Kiba, but Lord Hokage can still forgive his brother generously. At this moment, Itachi was quite moved and nodded heavily. Thank you, 3 generations of adults. The 3rd generation continued, after tonight, I will be the only one who knows about your affairs. So from now on, you will become an S-level traitor who destroys a clan and will be relentlessly pursued by Kiba. Itachi slowly put on the cat face mask and said, I have already had this realization. After speaking, the figure flashed and disappeared into place in an instant. Looking at the distant figure of the weasel, Sendai said calmly, let's all go prepare. Yes. More than 10 black shadows suddenly appeared. After bowing to the 3rd generation, they quickly headed towards the direction of the Uchiha tribe. The monkey flying sun slashed at the bright moon in the sky and once again exhaled a puff of smoke. Tonight's extermination operation was led by Tuanzang with the cooperation of the root and the weasel. As a silhouette bathed in the sunlight, 8 flying sun slash does not require personal intervention, and these shadows will be handled by Tuanzang for him. However, in order to prevent accidents, Rizhao still dispatched his most trusted secret agency to help him monitor the progress of the extermination. Like the grassroots personnel under the command of Tuanzang, this dark department will only blindly follow the orders of his Hokage. So Monkey Flying Sun Slayer is not worried that they will leak this matter. Yuzhibo, a family that has been in power for many years during the Warring States period. However, after tonight, it's just a period of history, just like your old opponent Shinsho. At the same time, Uchiha Itachi, who had left the Hokage Tower, arrived at a dense forest. As if anticipating the arrival of Uchiha Itachi, a masked man had already been waiting here. I need your help. Itachi said heavily to the masked man in front of him. Oh. Under the mask, the dusty corners of the mouth couldn't help but slightly lift. It seems that you have made a good decision. Itachi nodded and said indifferently, such a arrogant and overconfident clan will only destroy the hard-earned peace of Konoha. He. Upon hearing the words, Daitu suddenly burst into a deep smile. I don't know if it's mocking Itachi or the betrayed Uchiha clan. Or is it mocking the ridiculous ending of the Uchiha clan? After laughing, he said indifferently, you can ask me for help, but you also have to promise me one thing. I know. Itachi interrupted, afterwards, I will join your organization and follow your arrangements. That's good, nodded with an undeniable hint of soil. After the matter was settled, Itachi turned around and walked towards the land of the Uchiha tribe, and Daitu also mobilized his divine power to leave the vast training room in Dechang's hometown. More than 100 Uchiha people knelt on the ground, dressed and ready to go. Yuzhi Bofeng stood at the front, holding a mirror and water moon, waiting for the news of Yuzhi Bofeng in an instant. Just now, he had already used his strength and pupils to intimidate this group of unruly tribe members. Yuzhibo admires the strong, especially those with higher levels of Sharingan within the clan. As soon as his kaleidoscope was revealed, no one questioned Yuzhi Bofeng's remarks and expressed willingness to follow him. After all, he is now the only owner of Uchiha's kaleidoscope. Itachi and Fuyue are 2 guys who hide very deep. Without letting Yuzhi Bofeng wait for too long, the elder quickly walked in. He walked up to Yuzhi Bofeng and said, everything has been arranged, and Shuren, along with a dozen or so members of the tribe, has secretly relocated most of the elderly and young to the edge of the wooden leaves. Yuzhi Bofeng nodded and said, this way we won't have any worries. When we start taking action, the elder will follow the route I gave and quickly leave the fire country with them. Don't worry, I will also safely evacuate with other members of my tribe. The elder nodded solemnly and said, if something is impossible, don't be too eager to fight and retreat quickly. As long as you are here, sooner or later we can slay the monkey flying sun and trample them underfoot. As he spoke, he turned his head to look at other ethnic groups and said, remember, even if you all die in battle, you must ensure the safety of Yuzhi Bofeng. He is the hope of the Yuzhibo clan. Yes. The people of the tribe were enthusiastic. They rubbed their fists and feet, obviously eager. Chapter 3. All forces gather together in Yuzhibo. Seeking. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yuzhi Bofeng sent someone to see off the elder. As one of the few elderly people who have survived to this day since the establishment of my village. The elder has devoted a lot of his life to Uchiha. At this age, he doesn't need the elder to fight for his tribe, just to stabilize his rear. And at that moment, the system reacted. The host triggers the plot, Uchiha's Night of Destruction, and opens the divine selection. 1. Simple, leave alone and seek revenge for your tribe after gaining stronger strength in the future. Rewards. Complete collection of fire escape ninjutsu and Uchiha fan. 2. Difficulty, show off your strength and talent to ape Flying Sun / and others, join their camp, and work hard for the position of Hokage. Rewards. Immortal body, wood done blood stains, Yamato version, can be improved. 3. Purgatory, proud and powerful Uchiha, how can he live a miserable life? Lead the tribe to kill Kiba and make the Kiba camp pay the price. Rewards. Double the power of the kaleidoscope pupil, perfect level immortal mode, mysterious gift package, determined based on task completion. The emergence of the system made Yuzhi Bofeng instinctively squint his eyes. The night of extermination. Is it actually tonight? He was somewhat fortunate at this moment, but fortunately, after improving his strength, he started preparing as soon as possible. Otherwise, caught off guard, even if he changed the fate of the Uchiha clan, their people would suffer heavy casualties. Ordinary people and young and old have already hidden themselves at the edge of the wooden leaves, so they can confidently give it a try. Thinking of this, Yuzhi Bofeng silently recited. I choose 3, lead the tribe to kill Kiba. Divine selection successful, start recording task progress. Having lived in this world for 15 years, Yuzhi Bofeng has long had feelings for his people. As an orphan in his previous life, he cherished his hard-earned emotions very much. As a war orphan in this life, he has received help from his tribe from childhood to adulthood. Now that the tribe is in danger, he will not turn a blind eye. Although the memories of his past life have not awakened in the past 15 years, emotions are still sincere and meaningful. After making the choice, Yuzhi Bofeng looked at the group of people behind him. Things have changed, the traitor monkey Flying Sun / and Itachi will take action tonight. Upon hearing this, these clan members also changed their faces. How are you? A tribe member was about to ask, how did Yuzhi Bofeng, who had been staying with them all along, know about this matter? But thinking of Yuzhi Bofeng's kaleidoscope riding will eye, he stopped asking. It is said that the kaleidoscope has many powerful abilities, and can even awaken even more powerful pupil techniques than the blood inheritance limit. Perhaps Yuzhi Bofeng learned about this matter through his pupil technique. Other ethnic groups also hold such thoughts to some extent. After all, the power of the kaleidoscope has penetrated deep into their hearts. So they won't question Yuzhi Bofeng either. Jiren, Jini, Xiaotai. Take a few people with you to intercept the traitor Itachi. Subsequently, Yuzhi Bofeng clicked on the names of 6 tribe members in one breath. They are all the 3 Goyu Sharingans that have been opened, possessing the power of Shangren and even elite Shangren. Although Yuzhibo Itachi has recently opened a kaleidoscope, his strength has definitely entered the shadow level. So Yuzhi Bofeng is not careless. The rest of the people are on guard against the entire clan. If anyone is found in the dark or at the root, kill them. Having witnessed the strength of the Uchiha clan for many years with his own eyes, Uchiha Maple would not believe in the extermination of the clan. The only way to truly do it was to take action with Daitu and Itachi. The roots of the Dark Department and the group must have also been involved. After arranging everything, Yuzhi Bofeng murmured to himself. Facing us who were already prepared, what waves can you stir up now? The personnel in the dark and at the root combined will not be much more than 100 tribe members. Even if you hold on to it, it will only look like 200 or so people. After all, this represents the darkest part of a village, and even for the sake of not leaking intelligence, the review process will be extremely strict. And in 1.1 battles at the same level, Uchiha has not lost yet. Even if it's 1.1, Uchiha's people are not afraid at all. So it seems that the conspiracy of Tuanzang and others is about to fail in the face of the Uchiha clan who are on high alert. But Yuzhi Bofeng still won't be careless. After all, behind all of this is the monkey flying sun slash. He has the identity of Hokage, and if he wants to kill Kiba from now on, he will be enemies with the entire ninja of Kiba. However, Yuzhi Bofeng also has a backup plan for this. The tribe began to take action, and Yuzhi Bofeng also left this place. He also has to deal with someone who is even more difficult to deal with than the current weasel. Yuzhibo brings soil. Yuzhibo Itachi entered the Yuzhibo clan territory and stood in front of a family member's door. His eyes gradually became cold, and he whispered with a murderous intent. For the peace of Kiba, forgive me. As soon as he finished speaking, he sneaked into the room in an instant. Why isn't there anyone? The next second, Itachi in the living room widened his eyes. On the coffee table in the living room, several times the amount of clear tea still leaves warmth, but there is not a single person in the whole house. At this moment, Itachi remembered that tonight's Uchiha tribe was a bit too quiet. Did the plan leak out? Without hesitation, Itachi quickly left the house and sneaked into the next room to verify the answer. But the result made him shudder. 4 houses in a row, all empty inside. Looking at the dark and peaceful streets, it seemed as if all the members of Uchiha's tribe had disappeared overnight. Mr. Fong is indeed right. You really betrayed us, you guy. At this moment, a cold and murderous voice shattered the tranquility. Itachi quickly turned around, only to find that he had been surrounded by more than 10 tribe members. He is very familiar with the leader. Yuzhibo Naoto, the deputy captain of the police force, holds a position only below his father Fuyue in the police force, with elite endurance. Sure enough. Exposed. Itachi sighed slightly in his heart. It seems that there will be a big battle tonight, and I hope the battle will not affect the villagers outside. Itachi spoke calmly and asked, only a few people know about this matter. How did you know about this? The straight person sneered, I'm on the brink of death, but I still want to gather intelligence. I'm not afraid to tell you, Lord Fong has long sensed your conspiracy, and now he's so powerful that you can't imagine it. Yuzhi Bofeng. Itachi nodded. Surprisingly calling him an adult, it seems that he has done something remarkable during this period of time. He and Fong are not much different in age, and they can be considered rivals for many years. He has played against each other several times in various occasions, with wins and losses, but overall, he cannot compare to Yuzhi Bofeng. But now that he has opened the kaleidoscope writing Will-I, Fong can no longer catch up with him. Those who betray our ethnic group, die for me. However, straight people will not allow him to wander there. With a command, he launched an attack with other members of the Itachi tribe who glared angrily. On the other side at the same time. Based on the profound memory in his mind, Yuzhi Bofeng arrived at the guard building. Sitting in the center of the yard, Yuzhi Bofeng crossed his legs and closed his eyes. Until a wave of spatio-temporal fluctuations appeared. Opening his eyes, Yuzhibo and 2 appeared across from him. Host. Yuzhi Bofeng Blood Inheritance Limit. Kaleidoscope Writing Will-I Special Weapons. Breaking Jade, Soul Slaying Blade, Mirror Flower and Water Moon Ability. Kaleidoscope Pupil Technique, Initial Explanation. Mirror Flower and Water Moon, Fire Escape. Extinguishing Fire, Uzi Wave Flow Swordsmanship Comprehensive Strength. Upper Shadow Level, Note. Shadow level can be divided into lower, middle, upper, and peak, name. Yuzhibo Daitu, Blood Inheritance Limit. Mu Dun, Kaleidoscope Writing Will I, Single, Ability. Kaleidoscope Pupil Technique, Divine Power, Fire Escape Storm Dance, Wood Escape Cutting Technique Comprehensive Strength. Medium Shadow Level, Divine Power Unbreakable, can reach the peak of upper shadow level or even shadow level. Dear ancestors, come and take a look. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thank you, Yenzu, for opening this book. New book release, urgent need for various data. This book guarantees a minimum of 5 updates every day. 1,000 flowers plus 1 change. 500 review votes plus 1 update. 10 monthly tickets plus 1 change. As long as there is a reward, add more. Dear handsome readers, kneel down and beg for the useless flower evaluation tickets in your hands. Thank you, Yenzu, for opening this book. New book release, urgent need for various data. This book guarantees a minimum of 5 updates every day. 1,000 flowers plus 1 change. 500 review votes plus 1 update. 10 monthly tickets plus 1 change. As long as there is a reward, add more. Dear handsome readers, kneel down and beg for the useless flower evaluation tickets in your hands. Thank you, Yenzu, for opening this book. New book release, urgent need for various data. This book guarantees a minimum of 5 updates every day. 1,000 flowers plus 1 change. 500 review votes plus 1 update. 10 monthly tickets plus 1 change. As long as there is a reward, add more. Dear handsome readers, kneel down and beg for the useless flower evaluation tickets in your hands. Thank you, Yenzu, for opening this book. New book release, urgent need for various data. This book guarantees a minimum of 5 updates every day. 1,000 flowers plus 1 change. 500 review votes plus 1 update. 10 monthly tickets plus 1 change. As long as there is a reward, add more. Dear handsome readers, kneel down and beg for the useless flower evaluation tickets in your hands. Are you familiar with this move in Chapter 4? Seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the moment when Yuzhibo and Tu saw Yuzhi Bofeng, their pupils also shrank. But soon he regained his composure. As if indifferent, he said lightly. Oh, it seems that the plan was leaked long ago. So you saw through it. Those foolish guys like Yuzhibo don't have such a vision. In a short time, Daitu saw through the truth of the matter. It has to be said that he has indeed grown greatly in recent years, both in terms of strength and city government. Yuzhi Bofeng smiled and said, the plan leaked, so you're planning to give up. That won't work. The soil vendor spread out his hand. I know you, Yuzhi Bofeng. You were my observation object before, just like Itachi. But now it seems that in terms of vision, you are not much worse than that guy Itachi. But the strength. It's not as good as before now. Upon hearing this, Yuzhi Bofeng's eyes also narrowed. Did Daitu actually observe him before? But soon he realized that his talent in this life did not need to be much inferior. Although 2 years older than a weasel, their strength is also stronger than a weasel. The only difference is that Itachi opened the kaleidoscope a few months earlier than him. And this kind of thing is not about talent, but about opportunities. I think it was only then that Daitu focused all his attention on Itachi. Yuzhi Bofeng picked up Jinghua Shueiyue and slowly stood up. It seems that we still need to kick you out today. Oh, sneered with a hint of dirt. Beat me out, do you know my identity? He narrowed his eyes and said coldly, I'm Uchiha. With your status and perspective, you should know my reputation, right? Yuzhi Bofeng's expression remained expressionless, and his performance with a hint of dirt seemed like a clown to him. After all, he is a man who has read the original work. Ha ha ha. Yuzhi Popan. Yuzhi Bofeng smiled and shook his head, a riddled lie, a clown-like performance. The face with dirt turned completely cold. The guy in front of him is still mocking him, it's really hard to distinguish the form. After laughing, Yuzhi Bofeng seemed to say to himself. Yuzhibo led the earth, a teammate of the former genius Kakashi, who was saved by the old age of Ban. My name was called out, and in an instant, my face changed drastically. I can no longer maintain my composure. How did you know this guy? Before Yuzhi Bofeng could answer, he continued with a murderous aura. Forget it, no matter how you know, just kill you. As soon as the words fell, a figure with soil came to Yuzhi Bofeng's side like a ghost. Stretching his hand towards Yuzhi Bofeng, his eyes instantly transformed into a kaleidoscope. Divine power. The space began to warp, and Yuzhi Bofeng's body was instantly torn apart. But the next second, Yuzhi Bofeng in front of Daitu turned into a phantom and gradually dissipated before his eyes. Illusion. This is impossible. Daitu widened his eyes and even screamed in surprise. He has opened a kaleidoscope, how could he have unknowingly fallen for Yuzhi Bofeng's illusion? However, the fact is that the real Yuzhi Bofeng has already stood behind him. Very puzzled. Unfortunately, you won't know the truth. When launching an attack with soil, he cannot continue to maintain virtualization. Yuzhi Bofeng stabbed his sword and directly pierced through the body with soil. You! Damn it! Guy! Turning his head in pain, as if he wanted to take a last glance at Yuzhi Bofeng before death. Yuzhi Bofeng had a smile on his lips, turning his blade and swinging it upwards with force. The body with dirt shattered directly. Yuzhi Bofeng. It's really funny. However, at this moment. Humph, you're too proud too early. The body that had been scratched with soil turned into a phantom, and the real body appeared beside Yuzhi Bofeng. Go to hell. With a palm of dirt, he fiercely slapped Yuzhi Bofeng on the chest. Mu Dun. Cutting technique. The wooden spikes formed by Mu Dun instantly exploded inside Yuzhi Bofeng's body, and countless wooden spikes pierced through his body from within. With a cold snort, humph, I didn't expect to waste my writing will I. But compensate with your 2 writing will eyes. Unfortunately, the pride on his face did not last long. Bang! Yuzhi Bofeng, pierced by his cutting technique, burst into smoke. Shadow clone. With a flick of dirt at the corner of his mouth. He was played with by Yuzhi Bofeng again. Not far away, the figure of Yuzhi Bofeng appeared again. Since I have seen through your identity, do you think I may not be guarding against your Ishianaki? Looking coldly at Yuzhi Bofeng with a hint of soil, it seems you know quite a bit. Yuzhi Bofeng looked at him with a faint smile and said, I know more than you imagine. Alright, since you insist on wanting to be the weasel's lackey, let's use you to test my current abilities. Arrogant, you actually want to use me to test your abilities. With a rustic tone, he chuckled anxiously. However, Yuzhi Bofeng ignored him directly and murmured to himself. Then let's try this first. As he spoke, he suddenly rushed towards the soil. The earthy face under the mask was gloomy, and with a tremble of his arms, a chain appeared, fearlessly welcoming Yuzhi Bofeng. With divine power in hand, he is not afraid of anything. Just now, I was forced out of Ishianaki by Yuzhi Bofeng, but it was just his carelessness. Take it seriously, Yuzhi Bofeng will never touch him. But this guy can actually use illusions on me without even realizing it, isn't it? He also opened the kaleidoscope Sharingan. And it's a magical kaleidoscope like a water stop. The earth-filled eyes were filled with suspicion and uncertainty. He didn't want to believe this idea, as Itachi saw his friend Jishue's death with his own eyes, which opened the kaleidoscope. And Yuzhi Bofeng is within the clan, there are not many close people dying. But at the moment, there is no time to think about it. Yuzhi Bofeng's attack is already close. Zheng. Yuzhi Bofeng swung his sword and was pulled out of the soil, unable to withstand it. But how can the bitterness of nothingness be compared to the beauty of a mirror? The stalemate was only for a moment, and the bitterness was cut off by the mirror and water moon. Then the blade of the sword did not diminish and cut straight towards the arm with soil. Being able to cut off the bitterness of nothingness, this is the true body, isn't it? Tu raised the corner of his mouth and instantly activated the illusion to evade the sword of Yuzhi Bofeng. Meanwhile, his left hand quickly grabbed onto Yuzhi Bofeng's body. However, this cannot be difficult for Yuzhi Bofeng. He was already proficient in swordsmanship, but now that he has been strengthened by the broken jade, his swordsmanship has already reached the pinnacle of the ninja realm. The sword blade turned and slashed back towards the dusty waste. Dai-Tu didn't feel any loss, just activated the void evasion again. Subsequently, Yuzhi Bofeng directly penetrated through Dai-Tu's body. In the next moment, with a grin on his face, he shouted, "You've been tricked." Then he forcefully pulled forward with both hands, and the tense iron chain was directly tied to Yuzhi Bofeng. Yuzhi Bofeng was fearless in the face of danger, and in the moment he was bound, he raised his hand and threw out a painless forehead that rushed straight towards the dirt. Humph, localized virtualization. With a cold snort, the iron chain still tightly bound Yuzhi Bofeng. However, the bitterness thrown by Yuzhi Bofeng penetrated the body with soil and emptiness, causing no harm. "My iron chain is specially made, go to hell." Divine power once again opened, and Dai-Tu was ready to tear up Yuzhi Bofeng along with the iron chain. Cut. However, Yuzhi Bofeng just sneered and his eyes turned into kaleidoscopes. In the next second, his figure instantly transformed into the bitter nothingness that had been thrown out before. And his true body has come behind Dai-Tu. You should be very familiar with this move, right? A sword pierced through the dusty body once again. This is my kaleidoscope's pupil technique. Chapter 5. The Embarrassed Escape from the Earth. Seeking Data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He widened his eyes in terror with soil. He is naturally familiar with this scene. 8 years ago, his teacher used this move to defeat him who controlled the Nine Tails. Fortunately, after 8 years of growth, he is no longer the same as before. At the last moment, he adjusted his body slightly to the limit. However, Yuzhi Bofeng's sword still directly pierced through the chest with soil. Although not the heart, it is still enough to cause serious injury to Dai-Tu. Yuzhi Bofeng pursed his lips and said, "I can still hide. I've grown a lot over the years. Dai-Tu dare not be careless. At this moment, he who has been pierced cannot be weakened, and his life is completely controlled by Yuzhi Bofeng." He struggled forward for a moment, forcefully breaking free from the control of the sword, and then turned around vigilantly to look at Yuzhi Bofeng and activate the void transformation for the first time. Yuzhi Bofeng casually shook the bloodstains on his sword. "Do you still have to struggle? Being killed by me is clearly the best choice." Dai-Tu didn't retaliate, and his eyes were still full of disbelief at this moment. Kaleidoscope. Writing will eyes. Time and space pupil technique. Impossible. You've been under my surveillance all along, how could you possibly activate the kaleidoscope Sharingan? Yuzhi Bofeng said calmly, "Don't use your narrow thinking to speculate on my strength." The one he just used was his kaleidoscope left eye pupil technique, and it was also a temporal spatial pupil technique. This pupillary technique is very similar to Sasuke's Heavenly Hand in the original work, the only difference being that Heavenly Hand can be used freely, while this pupillary technique, like the Flying Thunder God, needs to be marked. He can allow Yuzhi Bofeng to exchange space with any marked person or object, as well as exchange positions between two or more marked people or objects. Alright, since you only have this level, I'll send you directly to see the real Uchiha. Speaking, Yuzhi Bofeng once again raised the mirror flower water moon in his hand. Familiar movements make Dai-Tu's heart skip a beat. This knife probably has a big problem. Thinking of being inexplicably enchanted before, Dai-Tu's heart became even more vigilant. However, his ability to shine like a mirror. He can't resist it. In Daitu's eyes, Yuzhi Bofeng was still standing in the distance. The next second, the real Yuzhi Bofeng appeared beside him. A sword shot straight at the dusty neck. With his pupils contracting, he was also frightened by the sudden appearance of Yuzhi Bofeng. What kind of ability is this? It can't be defended at all. Fortunately, I have been constantly activating the void, which makes Yuzhi Bofeng's attack ineffective. We will immediately counterattack with soil. The Yuzhi Bofeng in front of me and the one not far away once again transformed into a phantom and dissipated. The third Uchiha maple appears not far away. Yuzhi Bofeng smiled slightly and said, "Although you're not very good, your ability is really good." At this moment, Dai Tu was no longer in the mood to talk nonsense, just nervously staring at Yuzhi Bofeng. Is this the real body? Or a phantom? I can't distinguish the soil clearly. Even if he has a kaleidoscope writing, will I? Because this is not the power of this world at all. Daitu thought to herself, this guy also has spatial pupillary surgery sometimes, and he also has this strange illusion, plus another unknown pupillary surgery. I can't keep wasting time with him anymore. Otherwise, it must be me who is at a loss. Although he could use his divine power to forcefully drag down Uchiha Maple, Itachi and Tuanzang could still defeat the Uchiha clan. But Daitu wouldn't put his life in danger for these two guys. Anyway, with Yuzhi Bofeng's strength, this time it will definitely cause a heavy loss to my, and it will be more convenient for me to collect tail beasts. Regardless of whether Uchiha is destroyed or not, the decline of Kiba is inevitable. I will profit from both sides, so let this guy go for now. Even if it was running away, Dai-Tu still spoke with confidence in his heart. The space with soil around him began to distort, and he looked at Yuzhi Bofeng and said, "Forget it, I'll let you go this time. We'll meet again." However, before he could finish speaking, Yuzhi Bofeng's indifferent voice rang in his ear. "Are you going to let me go?" A hint of mockery appeared at the corner of Yuzhi Bofeng's mouth. "But I'm not prepared to let you go so easily. The third appearance is still a phantom, and Yuzhi Bofeng's true body has always been by Daitu's side. Damn it." Biting his teeth tightly with soil, he immediately gave up on escaping. Because when entering the divine power space, he cannot be virtualized. Once again, he used void to dodge Yuzhi Bofeng's fatal blow, but Dai-Tu didn't have a chance to leave. "Bastard, your real opponents are Itachi and Tuanzang," he said with a gloomy tone. "Are you trying to watch your own people being slaughtered while I'm holding you back here?" Yuzhi Bofeng gave a cold smile and said, "We were already prepared." Faced with Uchiha, who has united into a force, Itachi, the traitor, and Tuanzang, the mouse, are not yet qualified to kill at will. However, despite that, Yuzhi Bofeng also felt that he needed to quickly solve this guy with soil. After all, Uchiha has a wavering clan leader named Fuyue. If he still stands on Itachi's side, then with an extra pair of kaleidoscopes, the other people of Uchiha are really in danger. But the divine power with soil is too troublesome, and the hope of quickly resolving the already vigilant soil is slim. Yuzhi Bofeng is also considering whether to let this guy go this time. Mirror like water and moon grow stronger, but he has only just gained a few hours and it is difficult for him to exert all his strength. At this moment. What happened here? A panicked female voice suddenly sounded. Yuzhi Bofeng and Daitu looked at the entrance of the guard at the same time. A 13 or 14-year-old Uchiha girl was looking at the two of them in a daze. Yuzhi Bofeng frowned and said, "Yuzhi Bochuan." He instantly remembered the identity of the newcomer. A girl who likes to follow behind him, whose memories have not fully awakened, is a genius who started writing will eyes on the three Goyu at the age of 13. Speaking of which, Yuzhibo Quan, the original anime, died at the hands of Dai-Tu, who massacred the security forces. Good opportunity. At this moment, Dai-Tu's eyes lit up. He observed Yuzhi Bofeng for a long time and naturally knew the identity of this young girl. So as long as he controls this girl, he can get rid of this guy's entanglement. Thinking of this, Daitu immediately killed Yuzhi Bofeng. Yuzhi Bofeng's face turned cold and he said, "You're really using any means you can to achieve your goal now." Before awakening his memories, he was very slow in his emotions. But now that memories have awakened, he will see that he has already understood the intentions of Uchiha Izumi in the past. If he had the idea of teasing before. At this moment, Yuzhi Bofeng completely had a murderous heart towards Daitu. The mirror-like water-moon effect on Daitu's body is still present, and Yuzhi Bofeng directly tampered with his 5 senses. At the moment when Daitu thought he was going to grab Uchiha Quan, the Uchiha Quan in front of him turned into a phantom and dissipated. And Yuzhi Bofeng also rushed to the real Yuzhi Bofeng. With a dull expression on his face, he said, "Cut, it is indeed an unstoppable ability." How many times has he been teased by Yuzhi Bofeng? But he still couldn't see through Yuzhi Bofeng's strange ability. Finally, Daitu gave Yuzhi Bofeng a deep glance and said, "We will see each other again." As he spoke, the spatial vortex began to gradually engulf him. This time, Yuzhi Bofeng did not stop again. The appearance of Uchiha Izumi destined him to be unable to fully engage in battle with Daitu. Since we can't win it in a short time, let Daitu live a little longer. In the end, Daitu left with a severely injured body. In this battle, not only did he lose a Sharingan, but he was also pierced in the chest by a sword from Yuzhi Bofeng. P.S. I beg all handsome readers to have useless flowers, monthly tickets, and evaluation tickets in their hands. Chapter 6. Filial Piety and his father. Seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yuzhi Bofeng looked quietly at the place where the soil had disappeared. Divine power. Next time your ability will be ruined. With divine power in hand, Daitu is indeed innate and invincible, and there are not many techniques in the ninja realm that can harm him. But he left himself with a fatal flaw. That's the eye on Kakashi's body. And Yuzhi Bofeng's second pupil technique is enough to turn it into his own strength. Shaking his head, Yuzhi Bofeng stopped thinking about that disgusting guy and turned to look at Yuzhi Bofeng. Why are you still here? Didn't the elder take you to hide at the edge of the wooden leaves? I'm here to find you. Yuzhi Bofeng was still feeling a bit lost at the moment. Although I don't know what happened, the family must have encountered a great crisis. As a genius in the family, you must be on the front line. I want to help you. As he spoke, Yuzhi Bofeng's gaze also became extremely firm. What a silly girl. Yuzhi Bofeng was speechless and had to gently place his hand on Yuzhi Bofeng's head. With just your strength, coming here will only distract me. Hurry up and go back to the elder's place. The next battle will be led by him to fight against Tuanzang and Itachi, even 8 flying sun slash and Fuyue, as well as hundreds of dark parts and roots. Although Yuzhi Bofeng has activated Sangoyu, she did not like to fight or kill before, and her overall strength is just like that of the elite, so she does not play much role in such battles. It may even distract him. Not giving Yuzhi Bofeng a chance to refuse at all. Sensing the bitterness held by the elder, Yuzhi Bofeng handed Quan another handful of bitterness, and then directly replaced Quan with the elder's side. Before Yuzhi Bofeng could finish speaking, he returned to the elder's side with a bewildered expression on his face. The elder saw Quan suddenly appear, and although he was also confused, he quickly realized that it was the pen of Yuzhi Bofeng. He sighed and said, "Quan, the battle over there now is not something you can participate in. Even if it's to avoid distracting Feng, you have to stay here." Yuzhi Bofeng opened his mouth, but still lowered his head unwillingly. She thought of the previous scene, where her appearance led to Yuzhi Bofeng's opponent successfully escaping. She did indeed drag down Yuzhi Bofeng. So who is Brother Feng fighting against? Why do we all have to hide here? The elder thought for a moment, and there was no need to hide it now. Feng is fighting against the dark side of Mu Yi. Because ape flying sun slaying that guy has already determined to destroy our Uchiha clan. That bastard Itachi has defected, and Fuyue has not chosen his ethnic group either. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone here was stunned. Those who can come here are all members of the tribe who respect and identify with the elder. Basically, except for the group near the Fuyue family, everyone else is here. This is not about the division of factions between Yuzhi Bofeng and the elder. Yuzhi Bofeng and his team will do their best to rescue those people. But in order to prevent Fuyue from being vigilant, we can only wrongly treat them at this moment. So the people on site will not question the words of the elder. Destroy our Uchiha clan. Ape Flying Sun / is such a bastard. Itachi betrayed us, that bastard. I used to see him as a role model. Elder, we cannot stay here. I am also a member of Yuzhibo's team, and I will fight alongside Feng and his team. The scene was noisy, and the elder had to reach out and signal them to speak softly, constantly comforting them. When the voice weakened slightly, he shouted. Among you, there are those who have fought for Uchiha and Kiba all their lives, as well as those who have hoped for Uchiha's future. The battle at this time belongs to Feng and his team. I know you're not willing, but for the future of Uchiha, you must stay here. One day when you become stronger, I will never stop you from seeking revenge again. Listening to the persuasion of the elder, Yuzhi Bofeng remained frozen in place. At this moment, she wanted to become stronger than ever before. For nothing else, even if I can confidently stand by Yuzhi Bofeng's side and fight for him next time. Brother Feng, you must be very careful. On the other side. After driving away the guy with soil, Yuzhi Bofeng immediately rushed towards the battle on Itachi's side. Although Itachi may not have reached the level of the plot at the beginning, at least he has also opened the kaleidoscope riding wheel. Facing the full siege of 6 ninjas, although it may be troublesome, it will never be taken away. Wait for Yuzhi Bofeng to arrive at the scene, as he expected. The 6 straight people were already suppressed by the weasel at this time, and the other few tribes couldn't even get involved in this high-level battle. One of the tribe members noticed the arrival of Yuzhi Bofeng and exclaimed in surprise. Feng! You have finally arrived. Itachi has even opened the kaleidoscope Sharingan. Please help Captain Jiren and his team. With the arrival of Uchiha Maple, Itachi immediately and easily separated from the Naoto and his companions. He looked deeply at Yuzhi Bofeng and said, Feng, you have finally arrived. Yuzhi Bofeng looked at Itachi coldly, his eyes filled with disgust and disdain. I didn't expect you, this guy, to be on the opposite side of the family. What kind of mesmerizing soup did those bastards like Monkey Flying Sun / give you, making you even disregard your ethics? Itachi took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. This is all for peace. Kiba can't go through war anymore. However, before he could finish speaking, Yuzhi Bofeng waved and interrupted him. What nonsense logic! Can you join forces with outsiders to slaughter hundreds of people for the peace of Kiba? If you kill those old things like Ape Flying Sun / you can still create peace, and it will definitely make Mu Yi stronger. Feng! Itachi roared at Yuzhi Bofeng. We have fought so many times, and I can see that you are a visionary person. What is sacrificing a tribe for the sake of the village? Let's see the truth of the facts. This arrogant home like Yuzhibo should not exist. It will only destroy the hard-won peace. Yuzhi Bofeng gave a cold smile and said, You're really stubborn. The truth I see is that you betrayed the family that gave birth to you and raised you, and willingly fell into the hands of those useless people who were killed by the Monkey Flying Sunday. As a former opponent, I will personally put an end to your evil offspring. At this moment, Itachi also regained his composure and looked at Yuzhi Bofeng with a hint of pride. It's useless. The person who opened the kaleidoscope is no longer what I used to be. Although I used to never win against you, now the outcome has turned around and you will no longer be my opponent. As he spoke, he once again revealed his kaleidoscope riding will eye. However, Yuzhi Bofeng shook his head in disappointment. A pair of kaleidoscope riding will eyes, is this your confidence tonight? I'll tell you now, you can never catch up with the gap between us. The kaleidoscope opens, no less than a weasel's burst of pupils. Itachi widened his eyes in shock and quickly used his pupils to confront Yuzhi Bofeng. The confrontation between the two kaleidoscope riding will eyes made the straight person and others on the side involuntarily close their eyes. Compared to their Sangoyu, they have no resistance at all. Itachi exclaimed in surprise, You actually opened a kaleidoscope too. Yuzhi Bofeng said coldly, speaking of which, I still want to worship what you have given me. My eyes were originally born to kill you, a rebellious person. The people on the side immediately cheered and encouraged Yuzhi Bofeng. Humph, Itachi. In front of Feng, the end has come for you traitor. In the end, the confrontation between Feng and Itachi Tong was not on par. The two were preparing to officially start the battle when a sigh suddenly came. They are all excellent members of the Uchiha clan, why would they kill each other? Everyone turned their heads and saw that the person who came was Yuzhibo Fuyue. The battle here finally alarmed him. P.S. The student party has just started school today, and classes are full on Monday. I will make up for any missed classes tomorrow. Chapter 7. Entangled Wealth. Seeking Data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The battle between Yuzhi Bofeng and Daitu was very calm. But the battle on Itachi's side is exceptionally fierce. Those who are still within the Uchiha clan can see the flames of battle erupting here. Fuyue also rushed over because of this. And as soon as he came over, he saw the power struggle between Itachi and Uchiha Maple. He also instantly understood Itachi's choice. My child. Ultimately decided to stand on the side of Kiba. Fuyue's eyes were full of struggles. He wanted to angrily rebuke Itachi in order to change his mind. As his own son, Fuyue knows Itachi well. Since he has made this decision, it is impossible for his words to change it. At this moment, Fuyue fell into confusion. On one side were his clan members and on the other was his own son, and he didn't know how to choose. Yuzhi Bofeng looked at the confused Fuyue and said calmly. So it's the clan leader coming. Coincidentally, your son's betrayed family is joining forces with the high-ranking officials of Kiba to destroy us. As the leader of Uchiha's clan, it's time for you to come out and wipe out your family with righteousness. Itachi's gaze also dimmed at this moment, father. Fuyue could only sigh again about this. Itachi, do you remember the scene I showed you? Are you still planning to choose Monkey Flying Sun to slay them? Itachi said in a low voice, I'm sorry father, for the peace of Kiba. Fuyue looked at Itachi with a heart-wrenching expression and said, is it really irreparable? Itachi chose silence. At this moment, Yuzhi Bofeng interrupted with a cold smile. Now is not the time to tell you about your father-son relationship. Fuyue clan chief, either you kill Itachi now, or we acknowledge your identity as a member of the Uchiha clan. Either you support Itachi as a traitor, then I will take care of both of you. At the same time, your family will be removed from the Uchiha family tree. Deprive them of Uchiha's identity. The eerie voice chilled both Fuyue and Itachi's hearts. But the straight people on the side showed no intention of speaking up to stop them. Obviously, Yuzhi Bofeng has become a belief in the hearts of his people, and he can represent the will of the entire tribe. So he said that if the Fuyue family is removed from the genealogy, there won't be any twists and turns. This world, especially family ninjas, places great importance on genealogy and family glory. At this moment, Naoto also looked at Fuyue and spoke coldly. Fuyue clan chief, did you already know that Itachi has ulterior motives? Fuyue remained silent, and he naturally knew. Seeing this, the straight people are also burning with anger. Okay. Not only Itachi, but also Fuyue, the clan leader, doesn't value the lives of his people. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but look at Yuzhi Bofeng. Fortunately, one of them, Yuzhi Bofeng, emerged. Otherwise, the Uchiha clan, which has been renowned for thousands of years, may indeed be destroyed tonight. Still dying in the hands of one's own tribe. Fuyue, you are truly competent as the clan leader. Humph. There's not a single good thing in the family. I used to respect you so much, but I ended up being a traitor too. The cold eyes of the clan members made Fuyue's heart even more painful. Clan members, sons. How should he choose? If only he had died at this moment, he wouldn't have to face such a choice. And Itachi also saw Fuyue's struggle. Although he was determined to stand by Kiba's side, he still didn't want to see Fuyue being so forced in the face of his father who had loved him so much since childhood. So he pointed his sword at Fuyue. Your Highness, let's take action. Fuyue's heart trembled as he looked at his son, who had once made him extremely proud, with a complex expression. He has already made a choice for himself. However, as soon as Fuyue spoke, a heavy laugh suddenly rang out. Jie, don't be afraid, chief of Fuyue clan. Mai's reinforcements are here. In the distance, Tuanzang arrived at this place with a few trusted subordinates and a few instant followers. At the same time, the direction they came from, the edge of the Uchiha tribe, suddenly erupted into war. Yuzhi Bofeng ignored the other side and just looked coldly at Tuanzang. After all, he was well prepared and faced with numbers that could not crush the roots of the Uchiha tribe. He had no worries at all. Hehe, you underground mouse is finally willing to show up. Tuanzang's face was full of surprises. Yuzhi Bofeng, I didn't expect you to see through my plan. He is truly the guy who was even more talented than Itachi back then. Yuzhi Bofeng gave a cold smile and said, I don't need you to praise me yet. I was originally planning to finish dealing with Itachi and go play with you and ape flying sun slaying. Now that you have brought it to your door yourself, why don't you stay here with Itachi? The eerie kaleidoscope stared at him intently, and Tuanzang's heart was also solemn at this moment. However, a huge greed also surged in his heart. Damn it, I didn't expect Yuzhi Bofeng to also open a kaleidoscope. But it doesn't matter. After killing this guy, I will have 3 kaleidoscopes. Thinking of this, he immediately looked at Fuyue. He could hear the conversation between Yuzhi Bofeng and Fuyue very clearly just now. Don't worry, Chief Fuyue. I have protected your youngest son very safely. You can rest assured to deal with Yuzhi Bofeng, this rebel, with Itachi. Not long ago, Tuanzang entered the land of the Uchiha clan with all the roots of his subordinates, originally preparing to collect the riding will eyes of the deceased Uchiha. I didn't expect to hit Yuzhi Bofeng's ambush. Afraid of accidents happening here, Tuanzang immediately rushed to this place with his confidants and let other roots stop the group of Yuzhibo people. At the same time, several hands were also arranged to control Uchiha Sasuke. Upon hearing Tuanzang's seemingly comforting words, both Fuyue and Itachi's faces changed at the same time. Tuanzang, this guy, actually wants to use Sasuke to threaten them against Yuzhi Bofeng. To be precise, it is a threat to Fuyue. At this moment, Fuyue's original decision was once again shaken. Sasuke, as his youngest son, although he usually doesn't seem to care about him. But as a father, how could one ignore one's own bloodline? At this moment, Yuzhi Bofeng suddenly smiled. Ha ha ha. It's really interesting. While laughing, he looked at Itachi. Is this your choice? Help Kiba slaughter his own people. As a result, Kiba is still using your brother's safety as a threat to you. What a righteous Kiba. Faced with Yuzhi Bofeng's mockery, Itachi was also burning with anger. He looked coldly at Tuanzang and said, our relationship has nothing to do with Sasuke. Now let him go and hand him over to Lord Huiying, otherwise. He is also full of disgust towards Tuanzang, who indirectly harmed his close friend. But for the safety of Kiba, he could only endure nausea and cooperate with him. If Katanzo dares to touch Sasuke at all, Itachi doesn't mind killing him now. Anyway, this is in my. When Lord Hokage arrives, Yuzhi Bofeng and the others will not be able to stir up any waves. However, in the face of the Itachi's threatening gaze, Tuanzang simply chuckled and said, "Don't worry, Sasuke is doing well with me. My subordinates will spare no effort to protect him from being threatened by outsiders." Speaking, he looked at Fuyue again. "What is Chief Fuyue waiting for? Hurry up and take down the rebellious Yuzhi Bofeng, so that I can also reunite your family. P.S. Looking for flowers, looking for monthly tickets, looking for evaluation tickets, looking for all the data in Yenzu's hands." What about the 3 shadow levels in Chapter 8? Seeking data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Due to the arrival of Tuanzang, the atmosphere here began to become extremely solemn. Fuyue's entanglement, Itachi's angry gaze, and Yuzhi Bofeng's sneer did not affect Tuanzang's joyful mood at this moment. "Teacher Fei Jian, I am finally about to fulfill your long-standing wish. After tonight, the evil clan of Uchiha will completely become history." Tuanzang looked at Fuyue and couldn't make up his mind, so he simply added another spark. "Time waits for no one. When they arrive here, I won't be able to defend you. Maybe you will also be labeled as rebellious and your whole family will die with these guys." This blatant threat makes even the straight people unable to bear it. What a despicable guy. Humph. Is this the kind of virtue in the high-level management of Kiba? No wonder Itachi would cooperate with you. The Dark Mouse and traitor are a perfect match. What kind of person is Tuanzang? As the creator of countless darkness in the realm of tolerance, how could it be shaken by these few words? Besides, in his eyes, anyway, these damn Uchiha people are already dead. Why should he argue with the dead? Tuanzang looked at Fuyue confidently and said, "Fuyue clan leader, let's take action." Faced with such coercion, Fuyue painfully closed his eyes. Opening it again, his gaze had become firm. Fuyue looked at Yuzhi Bofeng and said, "For the sake of Sasuke, I apologize to my tribe." Ha ha ha. Yuzhi Bofeng shook his head and sneered. Then slowly pull out the mirror flower water moon from the waist. "Since that's the case, starting today, Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Fuyue, Uchiha Meichin, Uchiha Sasuke. At my command, strip him of his identity as Uchiha and remove him from the genealogy." The straight people almost roared in response, saying, "Yes." In an instant, Fuyue and Itachi's faces turned extremely pale. But Tuanzang couldn't stand Yuzhi Bofeng's arrogant appearance, and he snorted coldly. "Humph. Do a group of rebels have this qualification?" He looked at Itachi and Fuyue and said, "In the name of Konoha, I only recognized the name Uchiha of your family. Fuyue clan leader, Itachi, kill this group of rebels." At the moment he spoke, his confidants around him quickly took action. A young man with orange hair immediately reached out and aimed at Uchiha Maple. The art of beheading in the heart. His companion beside him also slapped the ground with both hands. "Birth done, birth prison wall." Yuzhi Bofeng sneered and said, "It turns out they're from a tribe in the mountains." Pupil power bursts instantly. The people of the mountain tribe were about to invade Yuzhi Bofeng's mind when they were instantly bounced out. Ah! With a scream, the person curled up to the ground in pain, covering their head. Then, Yuzhi Bofeng jumped back and easily avoided another person's dungeon blockade. Still in the air, he looked at the straight person and other people. "Jiren, go help the people over there, just leave these to me." Now, Uchiha Maple's orders are firmly followed by Naoto and his team. So they immediately rushed to the other side of the battlefield. Tuanzang sneered and asked the straight people to leave. You're really arrogant when just one person wants to deal with us. Yuzhi Bofeng landed steadily and said, it's just a few wastes. Anyway, it won't take a few minutes. In the next moment, the panels of Tuanzang, Feilu, and Itachi appeared before his eyes. Name: Yuzhibo Feilu, Blood Inheritance Limit. Kaleidoscope Writing Will I Ability. Kaleidoscope Pupil Technique, Uchiha Flow Fire Escape, Uchiha Fluid Technique Comprehensive Strength. Median Shadow Level, Name: Yuzhibo Itachi, Blood Inheritance Limit. Kaleidoscope Writing Will I Ability. Kaleidoscope Pupil Technique, Other Heavenly Gods, Single, Uzi Wave Flow Illusion Technique Comprehensive Strength. Lower Shadow Level, Special Forces can threaten the peak of Shadow Level, Name: Jitsuan Tuanzang, Blood Inheritance Limit. Kaleidoscope Sharingan, Single, Junior Immortal Body, Inter-Pillar Cells, Ability. Kaleidoscope Pupil Technique, Junior Would Escape, Would Leaf Flowing Wind Escape Comprehensive Strength. Median Shadow Level. The only thing that Yuzhi Bofeng needs to pay attention to in terms of the abilities of the three people is the other celestial god in Itachi's hand. Don't be a god. You really need to be careful. In the original work, other gods can change the will of the filthy weasel. So at this moment, I am still in a kaleidoscope and I am sure I cannot resist. I just don't know if this technique will work when his pupil power reaches the eternal kaleidoscope or even the reincarnation eye. This can also be considered an unsolved mystery in the original work. After a moment of wandering thoughts, Yuzhi Bofeng looked back at the three of Tuanzang. Then let me try your skills. Break it up, mirror like water and moon. Tuanzang suddenly snorted coldly, humph, arrogant guy. Raise your hand to seal. Wind escape. 1,000 blade strike. Dozens of sharp wind blades suddenly enveloped Yuzhi Bofeng. At the same time, Tuanzang said coldly to Feilu and Itachi. What are you waiting for? Think about your positioning. Itachi sighed and had to sit ready for battle. However, at this moment, Yuzhi Bofeng's voice suddenly sounded in Tuanzang's ear. You better manage yourself first. The figure of Yuzhi Bofeng, who was hit by the wind blade not far away, has now turned into a phantom and dissipated. Mirror like water and moon, already started. Yuzhi Bofeng swung his sword towards Tuanzang, who was shocked and immediately pulled out an unstoppable force. However, in the moment of confrontation, Yuzhi Bofeng in front of him once again transformed into a phantom and dissipated. Tear it off. Ah! Tuanzang screamed in agony. In the next moment, a bone-deep sword mark appeared behind Tuanzang. He spared his life and immediately used his teleportation to escape from the spot. Turning his head to look at the indifferent Yuzhi Bofeng, his eyes were full of suspicion and uncertainty. Phantom. When will it be? Just at this moment. Father. What's wrong with you? Itachi's exclamation also came through. Surprisingly, at the moment when he was about to take action, Feilu waved Kowu and stabbed him on the arm. And if it weren't for his quick reaction, it would have been stuck in his heart. Seeing this scene, Tuanzang's face immediately became even more gloomy. Damn Feilu. Since Feilu launched an attack on Itachi, it means that everything just now was just a performance. He still chose his ethnic group. Yuzhi Bofeng raised the corner of his mouth and said, "This is not 1-on-3 anymore. Tuanzang, are you ready to lead me to death?" He wouldn't tell Tuanzang and Itachi, it's just him showing off his talent. Itachi is certainly terrifying to have a different deity, but Yuzhi Bofeng may not be in contact with him for the time being. Speaking of which, he deeply controlled Uchiha Feilu's 5 senses and made him treat Itachi as himself. The spiritual power consumed far exceeds that of basic psychedelic enemies. At this point, if Yuzhi Bofeng wanted to activate such control again, it was already impossible. Even if he has strong spiritual pressure due to various reasons such as rebirth, breaking through limits, and kaleidoscope amplification, he cannot instantly master it all. After all, the time it took him to obtain the soul-slaying blade was still too short. At this time, Tuanzang's face was as black as potsticker, damn Yuzhi Bofeng. However, he also has a kaleidoscope that stops water, and Yuzhi Bofeng cannot easily deal with him. Having witnessed the power of the kaleidoscope one after another, Tuanzang's confidence exploded at this moment. He even regarded his ability to shine like a mirror and moon as the pupil technique of a kaleidoscope, otherwise how could he easily fall for it? So he slowly lifted the bandage that concealed his right eye. P.S. Looking for flowers, looking for monthly tickets, looking for evaluation tickets, looking for all the data in Yanzu's hands. Chapter 9. The Painful Torment of Tuanzang. Seeking Data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is it a kaleidoscope that stops water? Yuzhi Bofeng narrowed his eyes. However, compared to the one in Itachi's hand, this one is not as good as Tuanzang's. Similarly to other gods, the original work's Tuanzang controls 3 ships, all of which can be seen through and released by Qin Bai Yen. Besides, with the mirror like water and moon, Tuanzang couldn't even find his true identity. This pupil technique is just a decoration. However, at this moment, Tuanzang was full of confidence. Yuzhi Bofeng, don't think you're the only one with a kaleidoscope. But his confidence cannot be sustained for long. Didn't anyone tell you? You have too much nonsense. As if the voice from hell was once again ringing in Tuanzang's ears. Ah! Tuanzang let out a scream once again. This sword left another mark on it, forming an X symbol with the previous one. Tuanzang's face was full of fear. Impossible. I have already activated the kaleidoscope Sharingan, how could I still fall for your illusion? Yuzhi Bofeng sneered, frog at the bottom of the well. Is it possible for people in this world to see through the power of mirrors, flowers, water, and moon from the soul? If it weren't for Yuzhi Bofeng's recent acquisition, he hadn't fully mastered it yet. Otherwise, he could even flash kill the mediocre trash like Tuanzang. Faced with the mysterious and unpredictable Yuzhi Bofeng, at this moment, Tuanzang dared not be careless anymore. He suddenly turned his head and roared under his opponent, you guys should go and notify Rigian immediately. The development of the situation at this time has already exceeded his control. I can't take down Yuzhi Bofeng by myself, and Itachi is also being dragged by Fuyue. Obviously, those subordinates at the root cannot confront the entire Yuzhibo clan who are ready to go. Now, except for seeking help from Ape Flying Sun / Tuanzang has no other choice. But at this moment, he saw that Yuzhi Bofeng slowly took out several handful of kowu and threw them around. In the Huiying office, the monkey Flying Sun was smoking with a thumping sound. For some reason, an inexplicable sense of anxiety lingered in his heart. He turned his head to look at the full moon outside the window, a dark cloud slowly devouring it. Is there a problem with Tuanzang? At this moment. Lord Huiying, there's a problem. A secret agent he sent in advance to monitor the extermination operation appeared in the office. Sure enough. A hint of sharpness flashed in Ape Flying Sun's eyes. Undoubtedly a family renowned for thousands of years, it seems that I still need to take action. He immediately ordered, gather all the dark forces and follow me to the land of the Uchiha tribe. Yes. The Dark Department immediately left. Tonight, in order to prevent accidents, Ape Flying Sun / had all the combat power of the dark side waiting at the base. Now it's also time to use them. And compared to other ninjas, he has a higher level of control over the dark side. This can also prevent this ugly event from being exposed. And just as the monkey Flying Sun / had gathered in the dark and was preparing to advance towards Uchiha, the confidants of those groups also came to the Huiying Tower. Master Huiying is not doing well. Yuzhi Bofeng opened a kaleidoscope and even more saw through our plan. Yuzhibo clan chief Fuyue stood on the side of the family, and he also opened a kaleidoscope Sharingan, blocking Itachi alone. Now the combat power of the entire Uchiha has gathered, and Lord Tuanzang and we can no longer resist. What? The monkey flying sun's pupils shrank as he heard the news. He never thought that things had spiraled out of control to this extent. After Jishue died, Yuzhibo surprisingly gave birth to 3 pairs of kaleidoscope riding will eyes. Fortunately, the original water stop and the current weasel were on their side, otherwise the sky would have changed for the wooden leaves. Let's go quickly. With a big wave of his hand, Ape Flying Sun rushed first towards the land of the Uchiha tribe. A few minutes later, the Monkey Flying Sun crossed the barrier set up at the base and entered the Uchiha clan territory. Looking at 2 battlefields. After thinking about it, Monkey Flying Sun chose the side with weaker momentum. After finally arriving, the first scene that caught his eye made him angry from the bottom of his heart. How dare you, Yuzhi Bofeng! Time goes back a few minutes ago. After Tuanzang dispatched his subordinates to notify the Monkey Flying Sun Slayer, he began to wander irregularly, wary of the next attack by Yuzhi Bofeng. Yuzhi Bofeng dodged all the hardships thrown out by him one by one. Although he didn't understand why Yuzhi Bofeng was making such a meaningless attack, he still didn't dare to be careless. Even with a face full of bitterness, I dare not touch it. And even though Yuzhi Bofeng was right in front of him, he still couldn't be sure if this was the real thing. The 2 wounds behind him have already raised his vigilance to the highest level. I can't be consumed by him like this, I need to find a way. However, at this moment, Yuzhi Bofeng's attack came again. Don't get distracted when fighting with me. In shock, Tuanzang turned around to resist, but where could he keep up with the speed of Yuzhi Bofeng? This sword still left deep visible bone marks on Tuanzang's arm. Bastard! The enraged Tuanzang turned back and pulled out his hand. But at this moment, Yuzhi Bofeng once again transformed into a phantom and dissipated. He could only look up and roar angrily, if you have the ability, come out and fight me head on. However, Yuzhi Bofeng did not pay attention to him. A minute later, Yuzhi Bofeng was like a cat playing with a mouse, leaving wounds on the group's hiding place time and time again. Although these are not fatal, they have also made Tuanzang's actions more sluggish and his state has significantly declined. And most importantly, this is a blatant insult. Although a single blow could cause him serious injury, Yuzhi Bofeng didn't do it. He will torture Tuanzang until he breaks down, and then give him a fatal blow. At this moment, Tuanzang's forehead was covered in beads of sweat. His brain began to run rapidly, and soon an idea surfaced. That's right, that's it. He jumped to the roof in an instant, raised his hand and quickly imprinted it, then slammed it onto the ground. Spiritual communication. Dream taper. Bang. After a huge smoke, a massive and eerie creature appeared. This is the spiritual beast of Tuanzang, the Dream Taper. Dream Taper. Tuanzang stood on the head of the Dream Taper and let out a roar, and the Dream Taper immediately took action. It opened its huge mouth and in an instant, a huge suction enveloped its surroundings. At this moment, Yuzhi Bofeng couldn't continue to hide. Cut, I didn't expect you to have such wisdom. Seeing the appearance of Yuzhi Bofeng's true body, Tuanzang was immediately delighted in his heart. Humph, I finally forced you out. Yuzhi Bofeng gave a gentle smile. In this way, you should dare to be afraid. I originally wanted to play with you, but now I'll just send you to death. Put the tiger's seal on your mouth with one hand. Fire escape. Hauhuamyeya. The scorching flames turned into arrows over 10 meters long, shooting straight at the mouth of the taper. The enormous suction of the Dream Taper continues. The wind assisted the fire, and the flame arrows suddenly expanded several times again. Tuanzang's face changed drastically in an instant, and he immediately jumped off the top of the taper's head. And the giant Dream Taper cannot be avoided. The entrance of the flame burns everything inside it in an instant along its huge mouth. The dream taper could only let out a mournful roar and then disappeared back into the spiritual realm. Yuzhi Bofeng looked coldly at Tuanzang and said, "It's your turn now. P.S. Looking for flowers, looking for monthly tickets, looking for evaluation tickets, looking for all the data in Yanzu's hands."